Every child is born with a smile, born with a smile and so full of hope. Every child comes new and unused, strong in the ways that matter. Said every child seems to know more than we do. Every child is born with a smile. Said every child is born with a smile. Every child. Every child is gold in the dust, each a fountain of joy. Every child thinks less about time and gains the world. Said every child seems to know more than we do. Every child is born with a smile. Said every child is born with a smile. Said every child is born with a smile. Woo! Thank you.
Thank you. It's Mark Dignam here on the River's Edge Radio Network. How are you doing today?
Good.
Good, good. You pull the mic towards you a little bit.
Sure.
There we go. So
Thanks
yeah.
for the invite. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I heard you at Hambones hosting, and I seem like an interesting guy. I'm like, I got to get him on the show. So
Great.
we
Thank
made it
you.
work. So yeah. So tell me a little bit about yourself. I know you immigrated here to the United States.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. How?
In 2000, I came here. I was working in Connecticut with a label from Dublin, and they went bust in the middle of the whole project. And I had a friend of mine who invited me to come stay in Pittsburgh, and met a girl, got married, had a couple of kids, got divorced. So it's a good rock and roll story.
Very cool.
That's 16 years ago now. I'm here.
Wow. So so it was obviously family and stuff that brought you to Pittsburgh then, and that's what kept you here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I've got 2 young kids here, so that keeps me busy and here.
What's the culture like here as far as music goes in Pittsburgh? Obviously, you've been around the world. You've seen a lot. How would you rate the music culture here in Pittsburgh?
Well, right now, it's pretty electric. I mean, I think when I got here first, it was definitely a culture shock. I was used to a kind of a bigger and more vibrant scene, but that seems to be like really taken off here at the moment. There's lots of very, very cool. I did a show on Sunday out in Hartwood Acres. Randy Bauman from DVE does this ramble thing in the kind of Levon Helm ramble style. I don't know if you ever heard of any of his things. After the band, he has this big barn that he used to run these shows in. They became these legendary shows. So Randy's been doing something along that line, and we did it out in Hartwood Acres last year and this year, and that was just amazing. Everyone, Mike Klebicki from Rusted Root was there, the Clarks were there, Common Heart, Recluse. It was all, a ton of like just amazing musicians, and that to me shows how far the scene has come in the last decade. That you can really put on a full show with thousands of people in the audience with just local artists. That's I don't know that you could have done that a decade ago here.
I don't think so. I feel like the scene in Pittsburgh, people have more of an appreciation for local music, and I don't know. I'm not sure what the cause is. What do you think the cause is? Why do you think people are?
Well, I always think the audience is always there.
Mm-hmm.
There's always people that love music and want good music, so there's always going to be a market for good music. It's the channels that change, how the music gets delivered to people, and that's the upheaval that's going on right now. Nobody really knows how to sell or market music anymore because all the old style has gone to the ground. So
do you think social media has something to do with it? People are able to get the word out better. They're able to allow people to experience their music outside of a venue.
yeah,
Because if somebody has that stigma where it's like, oh, I don't want to listen to local music, maybe they wouldn't go to see a show, but maybe they'll hear it on Facebook.
People will listen to anything that's presented to them in the right way. I mean, I'm not as big. What would you say? I don't jump up and down about the new social media revolution because I think a lot of it's kind of mythology.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's still about who's got the biggest budget, who can afford to deliver their marketing campaign in a way that catches eyes. So you still need financial backing in the same way that you did 10, 15 years ago. Because now everybody's on the internet and you've got to rise above the noise. So it still always takes the money for a marketing campaign. It still always takes what it did in the past.
But don't you think quality can also, with social media, you have the opportunity to get yourself out there and then the quality can rise?
Well, I always remember one of the best pieces of advice I ever got was from a musician in Ireland. And he says, it's not just about talent. It's about being in the right place at the right time with the goods in your backpack at the same time. So, no, quality doesn't do it. You can be brilliant. You can be brilliant and still not go anywhere. Still be obscure and fail. And that's about. I'm sure there's some fantastic musicians, performers, rappers, writers, poets, or whatever who are just too poor to launch their careers, and that's the great shame of it. It's not talent. There's plenty of talent out there, and there's plenty of audience out there looking for it. It's the connecting channels. That's always what it's about.
A lot of that has to do with your mindset as well. I feel, and I'm not saying that you're certain musicians don't want to succeed, but even if you don't have the money, but you know how to market yourself in a good way. That's going to make a big difference. I've seen some podcasts, for example, which, the show that they put together is great, but you're not going to be able to find them. They're just not out there. They don't know, and a lot of it's even that they, a lot of them they don't even know how to go about that phase. You look at like we were talking about Apple and my terrible computer, and one of the reasons why Apple's done so well is they're able to market themselves in a way that makes them seem cool and innovative.
Yeah, no, it's always. I mean, it's about talent, and it's about your own work ethic in terms of what you do as an artist. But then there's the glass ceiling of what you do after that. How do you get beyond your bedroom? How do you get beyond your uncle's garage? You know, and it's that part of the puzzle that brings a lot of people down.
Do you think things like the music festivals help expose people, or do you think it's just another place to play?
Yeah, I mean, God, that's a tough one. I mean, both. I mean, standing in front of a crowd and doing what you do well is never a bad thing. And I mean, to some degree, that's what the industry has come down to now, where people are selling less records.
Yes.
And I've experienced it. I've definitely had a reduction in sales over the last year or so. So I'm playing more, trying to, and charging more to play, to make up for that. But yeah, I mean, playing live is just important for any number of reasons. To hone your chops, to get that experience in front of a live audience. I mean, that's what it was all about before even recording technology.
Sure.
Technology was invented. Before anyone recorded, people were playing for eons.
Well, you said that people aren't buying as much, and that's true, but people are, when they do buy, a lot of people are buying online now. We were talking in the beginning of the show about Pennsylvania's new digital tax, where they're going to tax digital sales and digital subscriptions and things like that. Do you think that could possibly deter people even more when they see the prices jump up?
Hard to say. I mean, people are getting used to getting it. I mean, maybe it'll change things because people will always want music. So maybe they'll just go, well, now we have to pay for it. What I'm interested in is where does that money go?
Yeah, right.
I mean, I know they're talking about it in terms of local and regional infrastructure. I think, if I heard rightly on the news the other day, and that's great, but you've still got this whole issue of the creators of these works not getting fairly paid for their product. Money flying left, right, and center, except for the artist trying to make a career where he can, feed his family and. So that's what that's the end of it I'm interested in for the obvious reasons.
Well, why are people so adverse to paying? Like, that's one thing I don't understand. You hear about a show that's, $10 a ticket, and, people are put off by it, like, oh, I don't want to pay $10. And I'm thinking, it's $10. You go to the movies, you're going to spend $10 on a ticket. You're not even seeing a live show, and then you're going to spend how much money on food and everything else.
For a Steelers game.
Yeah.
But again, I don't blame the audience. Again, it's not about the artist. It's not about the audience. It's about the middle channels. I mean, if I'm doing anything in my day and I'm happy to pay for it, I'm happy to go see the show playing Mr. Smalls and pay my fee.
Sure.
I'm happy to buy the record. I'm happy. But if somebody comes up to me and says, "Here, I'll give it to you for nothing,"
yeah,
what choice am I going to make?
Sure.
It's the natural choice for every human that you're going to hold your 10 or 20 bucks in your back pocket, and so somebody has to say, well, yeah, that's all good and fine, but it's not fair to the producer, the creator of the works. So there's no unions anymore. Somebody has to stand up and protect the creators of the work. Otherwise, it's a slippery slope to a lot of great performers saying, I can't be in this business. I can't produce great works and hope to make a living off it and spend my time doing it.
Well, how do we do that? How do we get to that point?
I think it may end up having to be some kind of legal thing that I mean, we're that protects workers' rights. Nobody thinks of musicians and writers and artists as workers, but we are.
Oh, sure.
We're producing collectively multi-billion-dollar industries. We're fueling that. So I mean, we have to have some. Just as there's a minimum wage, just as there's safety and health regulations in work, there has to be protections for the creators of intellectual property.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you people act like it's all fun, and I'm sure it is fun when you're on stage. But I know, as somebody who's a performer in my own right here, today I'm probably gonna leave this place and start throwing shit and go to the bar and drink because the show is the technology has just failed. You're passionate. There's a lot of energy and a lot of aggravation and a lot of frustration that goes into a performance and recording and things like that, because it's not only is it something you do for fun and you enjoy, but it is something that either it is a profession for somebody or it's something that they're planning to turn into a profession. A lot of times musicians are working, as you said, they're not making the money, so they have to work other places, so now they're working practically 2 full-time jobs around the clock.
Yeah.
And that's a struggle too. I mean, I understand that struggle. I work overnight every I was working 6 days a week. Now I've been able to whittle it down to 5, but you add all the operations of the station on top of that, and it's very taxing. You're just torn every direction, and I would say that a lot of times these artists are the hardest working people, because if you're passionate about what you do, you don't sleep. You just keep going, and you just push your way through.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, but then that begs the question then, is the music industry only for people in their 20s who can afford to do that energy-wise? And, is that going to be the output of an artistic endeavor, that it's only this narrow band of people who can afford to take part in it because they don't have kids, they don't have, you know, any other kind of responsibilities. You say, well, we can go hell for leather at this and work 2 jobs at the same time and do it while we wait for our corporate job to kick in.
Yeah.
You know, so it's, I don't know, I don't know the full answer, but something that protects the ability of people to have a career in music and have it make it worthwhile somehow. Somehow that scenario needs to be supported and encouraged.
I know they had a meeting just yesterday. I can't remember the name of it, but I was invited. It was at 5:30. I got the notes coming to me, but there is a group that's actually looking to try to solve that problem currently. Let me see if I can find the information here. But it was
locally.
Yes.
Yeah. I think I sat in on one of their panels.
Yeah, I think that could be interesting. It is something that people just. I don't think people think about it. The average person, and maybe I think about it because, you know, I'm not a musician myself, but I'm always.
And they shouldn't have to. I mean, the average person shouldn't have to think about it. The average person should just be presented with a situation of, here is an artistic work, and here's the minimum that you've got to pay for it. You know, and maybe it evolves into a situation where, you know, I liked the idea where people were, for a while, giving away 1 song or 2 songs for free as incentives to come and, you know, buy the album or buy tickets to the show or whatever. And that's absolutely fine. That makes perfect sense. But a scenario where everything is expected to be free, you know, it's untenable. You know, we can't keep doing that.
Yeah, and even to come up with alternatives, because I was just thinking in my mind as we were talking, you know, one of the ways that we plan to make money, we don't at this point, but we plan to make money through sponsorships and ad revenue and things like that. And I thought, oh, maybe that's something that could be done, but really there's just so many musicians out there that I think that would be hard to really put together.
Not just that, but I mean, sponsorship and advertising is a slippery slope for an artist, because then you end up in a lot of ways catering to your funders. You know, you end up saying, well, what does X brand want from me as an artist in order for me to get paid? You know, and of course there's a bit of that in as soon as you step into the commercial realm anyway. There's still that, you know, but I think it becomes much more intense when you start saying, well, I'm going to go to Target or Mercedes or whoever it is and say, you know, sponsor my band, and they'll say, well, yes, but we want you to present yourself in XYZ kind of ways and put these messages. Like the whole, like I was appalled by the whole thing in, I think it was in the rap and hip hop community, where the name dropping of brands and things like that in songs, that I was appalled by that.
Yeah, that's definitely detracts from the message, detracts what they're trying to sell, and as a listener, I could see that. I don't know. It's a weird situation because you got to come up with some sort of solution. I don't know. I think it's a societal thing, possibly. Where, you know, and I do think, like you said, people shouldn't have to worry about it, but I think, you know, everybody is a lot of times giving things away for free. I mean, you look at, you know, the big music festivals and things like that, which are great for getting exposure, but it is a free show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, people, you know, I mean, you'll see at music festivals, you'll see companies standing out there with stalls and saying, you know, here's a free T-shirt, here's a free, you know, here's your magnet. Yeah. You know, which if you stitch enough of them together, you'll make a cool T-shirt.
That would be cool, yeah.
So I mean, that's all part and parcel of marketing for centuries. That's how it works. But as soon as you get your free T-shirt and you go to that website of that company or to their brick and mortar store, they want you to pay for the product after that.
Sure. Yeah.
At a fair market price. Whereas the expectation in the art world right now, and again, I don't blame the audience, I blame the channels. The expectation is, well, you should just give away all your product and then, you know, survive on touring. Yeah. Which is, you know, I mean...
Which is an expense in and of itself.
I was just going to say, myself and Johnny will tell you about the expenses of touring. And I stay in a lot of people's houses. I sleep on couches, and I get bedrooms in some places, to cut down the expenses, because it's the whole thing is very, very expensive, and it should be that not all that emphasis put on the artist.
Yeah, no, I agree, because it's, especially for someone, when someone's signed or something like that. I mean, now you have somebody who's supposed to be taking care of a lot of those responsibilities for you. Yeah, I don't know. It's a difficult situation. So where will you be playing coming up?
I'm in Cincinnati on is it the 12th or the 13th, whatever the Saturday is. I've got a wonderful house concert, big garden party thing that I've been doing there for the last few. This is my 4th year doing it. It's kind of my Woodstock event out in Cincinnati. And if you want to come to that, get in touch with me. And then September 10th, I'm going to do a similar thing here in Pittsburgh. Friends of mine, there's another great songwriter called Ben Shannon. He's on tour on the West Coast at the moment. And he and his wife have this wonderful urban farm up in Morningside. There's a school on the property that they run during the year. And in the summers, myself and Ben have been talking about running concerts there for the last couple of years. So they've got a big stage built out on the property, and we're going to bring in nice big PA and do a whole potluck dinner.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, we'll call it's the Farm Stand Music, I don't know, festival or whatever we're going to call it. I mean, we're going to try and do it on a yearly basis. So that's September 10th. It's going to be myself, Ben Shannon, and another band called Brewers Row that are really, really good as well. So it's going to be, as I said, 6:30 we're going to have people come in with a bunch of food, feed ourselves, and then play music for the night. So
very cool.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, send us that info. We'll put it out on Facebook and let people know. So
cool.
Very cool. Thank you very much for stopping in.
You're welcome. Thank you for the invite.
What do we have? We have our holiday of the day. We're going to end the show with our holiday of the day. We like to end the note on a celebratory note. End the show on a celebratory note. So, all right, let's see. Got the music going. All right, so today's holiday is, well, first off, today is our first show of the month, so we wanted to give you a national month. It is Bystander Awareness Month. I have no idea what the hell that means. Bystander Awareness Month. It's, I guess, be aware that there's bystanders around. I tried looking it up. There's no information about it. I mean, are the bystanders doing anything? Are they just there? I mean, if there's an emergency, they're helping, that's great, but if they're just standing around watching you die, I mean, that's not really I don't want to celebrate them. International Albarino Day. That is today, and that is, Albarino is a type of wine, so I will be going out and trying to get a glass myself after this, because this show has been, what's that?
I'll celebrate that.
That's right. So, because today's been a bit of chaos here with a terrible computer, which hopefully I will be throwing away soon, taking an axe to it. That is something to celebrate. So, don't forget, tomorrow, Thursday, we've got Funny Money, and we have Awesome Cast. That's 7 and 8 a.m., so stay tuned for that. And also a new culture cruise. We have a new culture cruise out. Just launched this morning. We take our trip, Randy and I, to Falling Water. So check that out. You can find out what Falling Water is all about, kind of get our thoughts on it. The Culture Cruise is a show that is recorded while driving. So good stuff there. And don't forget, you can follow us. You can subscribe on Patreon and help support this station. Just go to the bottom of the River's Edge page at riversedgepgh.com and click the Patreon link. Until then, I will see you on Friday, and then don't forget this Saturday we have Jay Cooper as well. It's the first Saturday of the month here at the River's Edge Radio Network at riversedgepgh.com.